Greetings everyone and welcome to the 174th edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach and I'm joined by the resurrected Jaden.
G'day.
He's back. So exciting. The rumours aren't true. We're here to put everyone at ease. The crew is okay for now. And, of course, the other part of that crew is PTA's number one fanboy, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hello.
Hello. If it sounds like both Liam and Jaden are actually fighting right now and I've forced them here at gunpoint just in their enthusiasm so far, then that would be correct. Anyway.
Well, that is when my mate called me saying, "Is this real?" He was like, "Yeah, I could imagine you and Liam having a fight or something and just go separate ways." So if it's going to be anyone, it's going to be you and me. Yeah. Probably.
Is it? Do you reckon?
I don't know.
I feel like I don't see that. I feel like because you guys play Overwatch and shit, you know what I mean? I feel like you guys hang out more than I do with either of you respectively. So I feel like I see it the other way personally.
No, but that's where it's going to start, you know. Someone's going to be a bit unfiltered in one moment and call the other person shit, and it's just going to...
Right.
You just see me every time I destroy him in our 1v1s. It's funny.
I mean, he's on PC.
He hasn't bet me yet. Yeah.
Okay. Overwatch starts, and the fact you're probably more likely as a result to get sick of each other quicker. Now that I think about it. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, you two are screwed. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinema Effect, the podcast where we review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. And this week, that movie is The Hunger Games Catching Fire. No, it's not. It's The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1.
Is that
which
genuine?
opened in the US. Sorry?
Is that genuine?
What, the mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean? Why wouldn't it be genuine?
Uh,
Do you think I script mistakes?
Yeah.
It opened in the US on November 21st, 2014. It was directed by Francis Lawrence. It's an action sci-fi film, and the synopsis says, Katniss Everdeen is in District 13 after she shatters the games forever. Under the leadership of President Coin and the advice of her trusted friends, Katniss spreads her wings as she fights to save Peter, and a nation moved by her courage. I can't stand Peter's name still, man. It's terrible. I haven't gotten over it yet. Okay. Mockingjay Part 1. Jaden, what do you think on this rewatch? And also just side question. Did we watch this in RE, yes or no? Because I'm pretty sure we did. But I need your confirmation.
I think you're right. Yeah, actually.
I recall that.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we watched 15 movies that year, so...
Yeah. Just one of many completely irrelevant films to religion. But anyway.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, we did.
So weird, man.
It's always been the ugly duckling of the franchise, I guess. But it's always been one I enjoy. I know that there is, wide debate about splitting it into two. And I ultimately started on the fact that I think it should have been split into. I think it's. I think had you tried to squeeze all of Mockingjay into one, with the way they tell it, with the information they have in these two, it just, no matter how much you cut from both films, I think it still would have ended up as too bloated as one part. So while this does drag and tends to there's a few elongated sequences that don't feel entirely necessary. It still is the shortest one in the franchise, and I do really like the political background and the kind of what we do get to kind of contextualize the events that come next, albeit not all of it is fantastic. But yeah,
right. Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with sort of where you got there in the end. Yeah, I might disagree. I don't want to make a final judgment yet, but in terms of the whole splitting into Part 1 and Part 2 aspect. Just because I want to see Part 2 again first, but I think I disagree at the moment, but that's still to be fully determined. Yeah, this movie didn't really do it for me this time. I don't know. It's not bad, but I just think there's substantially less meat on the bone compared to the previous two movies. I wasn't bored, but it has boring vibes, if you know what I mean. It's there are some decent sequences, but the rest of the scenes between them sort of just feel very samey at times and very one note emotionally, and it feels like there's bloat in this movie to sort of fill out the runtime at times, and just to get us from point A to point B in a way that's kind of dull. Yeah, and especially when, I don't know, we're like hanging out in District 13 for like 75% of this movie, which, I don't know, looks very samey visually the whole time. So, I don't know, I was a bit let down. I remember sort of being a bit of a defender of this movie. I remember liking it more.
Well, your score definitely suggested that.
Yes, I was shocked by my last score, actually. I did not recall that at all. But yeah, this time, it didn't really live up to it for me this time. Fitzy, how do you feel about this rewatch, though?
No, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was significantly less, emotionally involving and intense, as you kind of said. But I think it really works as just like a thematic film, just like about like the propaganda, I guess, and the media. Like the last two films, the media was always like a focus, kind of like a sub-focus kind of in the background. But here it becomes like the whole point of the movie, I guess, the whole project of the movie.
That's
so
true.
I like how coherent it is, cohesive that it is in that regard. Yeah, there is like less, it is like somewhat less like involving, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I never really, I mean, we talked about in the previous reviews of how, like, I think I actually enjoyed the both halves of those movies without the games more than the games. So, like, I'm not someone who, like, I previously never would have said that, I need the Hunger Games in the Hunger Games movies for me to enjoy them necessarily. But they were missed here, in my opinion. And I know they're not on the next one either, obviously, but I'm still, to my recollection, I still think some of the action there sort of will take its place fairly well, you know? Because there wasn't a ton here in that regard to sort of fill that void, I think. But it's a really interesting point about the media, about how it's sort of the whole thing. Actually, I didn't really think of it like this, but whereas before it was all more so on the capital side, now we're seeing like how the resistance dudes, how the District 13, I don't know, like they have a president. Are they like a country? I don't know what to call them. Republic, whatever they're trying to be. They are a district, yes. But you know what I mean? Like, why does a district have a president? I guess they said we have a president now, which is fair enough. They do what they want. It is interesting to see them also use the media as a tool and like have to basically use it as a means of combat. And some of the scenes around that were interesting for sure. We'll get into those. Early on in the film, though, Jan, I did want to ask you. It came up a little bit. We had a mini discussion, I think, in the last review about the scene and the aspect of seeing a ruined District 12, the idea that District 12 was obviously bombed and destroyed at the end of the last movie, and how at the end of the last movie I wanted to see that. It was saved for this movie. I think I recall you saying in the last review that, and again, my memory is terrible, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think you were talking about how we shouldn't have got at the end of the last movie to save the impact for something later. Is this what you were talking about, like this scene of Katniss going there and experiencing that for the first time and getting that full impact of it in this movie, not the last one?
I don't really remember the discussion either, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I was alluding to. But yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, this is what I was saying it should be saved for. Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. This scene for me is like sort of maybe the movie's issues personified a little bit in that I feel like this movie just has this scene twice in it for no reason. Like, I don't know if this was what you were alluding to, Jaden, in your little intro, because I think if it was, I was definitely resonating with that, because in terms of just unneeded scenes, because I don't know what happened with District 12. I totally get the point of the scene. I think it's actually fairly well done, but it's just, I don't know, I feel like there's a version of this scene where they combine the two, because you get it at the start with Katniss, and she goes there and she's shocked and, you know, all that kind of thing, and that's cool. And then you go back again with Gale and they film it, and then it's literally like the same places. They literally just walk to the same places. And Gale then is like commentating at this time. And I just feel like those scenes could be easily combined. So I think that's just one example of a few odd scene choices in this movie that didn't really work for me, especially when I don't know about you guys, but I actually preferred the Gale version of the scene. I thought that was better. Because I liked some of his getting to know him a bit more and what he went through and stuff. And then at the same time, like, I don't know, I feel like there's a version of that scene where you can still have Katniss, like, also there being shocked by it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if her being shocked by it needed all the attention in a whole separate scene, if that makes sense.
But she needed to go there in order for the second scene to take place, for her to suggest to go and shoot a propaganda film there.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, in the way the script is. You wouldn't remember if that's the case in the book if they go twice?
I think it does.
Okay.
It does feel more bookish in its kind of presentation, that you kind of can go twice and describe things differently, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. As opposed to when I'm watching it, and well, mainly just in the way they shoot it. It literally,
and especially, you know, you don't want to rebuild. You know, like you spent a couple million doing this one massive set. You know, you don't want to really go explore another version.
Exactly. Yeah, it looked good. But it was just like we were just here earlier in the movie. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like there's a version where you can just combine those scenes. That's just one example of like a few odd scene choices. I don't know if that stood out to you at all, Fitzy, or did you, this idea of some scenes feeling unneeded and the whole blurred aspect of the part one thing, I just want to know where you might weigh in on it at this early stage.
Well, I didn't really feel much with the Gale scene, because I just felt like the cameras being on him added a layer of like, fakeness to it, even though it was all real and he experienced all that. It's just like the consciousness of the cameras constantly being there kind of, hindered that, the feelings a bit, the genuine feelings. Yeah, I actually forgot that she went there at the start as well. So I think that could have been better, but at the same time, I guess this movie's already like short, so I don't know.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's another thing too, where like, again, we'll see after part 2, but like, I don't know, Catching Fire just works as a 2.5 hour movie. And I feel like the books are all pretty similar length, right? I think they're pretty much all the same, if I recall.
I think
I've got
Fire might be the thickest.
Catching Fire might be thicker. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I feel like there's a version of this movie that works in 2.5 hours, like one combined. Because of things like this. This movie's only 2 hours long as it is, and then even with the shortest runtime of the series being 2 hours, there's still things like this that pop up in it where it's like, I feel like this movie could be 90 minutes long, you know? And I get why they wouldn't want to do that, because then it just makes the choice of splitting them in two look even worse, you know? But yeah, anyway, there was a few kind of odd scenes like that for sure. But actually, let's stick with the media aspect a little bit. I like that Fitzy brought this up. How did you feel about the whole aspect and the way it's presented in District 13 using the media, and the whole idea of shooting Katniss and going out and like, this is a pretty strong element to the plot of this movie, of trying to film Katniss and, you know, basically use her as a propaganda machine of their own to spark the revolution and represent the revolution and all this kind of thing. Did you feel like, Fitzy, that this was represented like as a negative thing for them to be doing? Like, I personally just, from the film, sort of never felt totally comfortable with the way they were doing it, and I feel like that was deliberate. But I don't know if you got that out of it.
The kind of awkwardness she has with the camera people is like something. It's probably the thing I remember most about watching this film for the first time. Like, she has a kind of weird relationship with them, because like they use her the same way, you know, the Capitol has done in the last 2 films, I guess. And also as the film kind of says later on, everything she does is kind of, you know, provoking Snow and hurting Peter in its own way. So I think that, I think the relationship in that is like really strong. It's really good. Not a good relationship, but it's you know, it's got a strong like ethos or whatever to it. It's very awkward. It's very like complex.
Yeah, it really is really awkward. I mean, I think that it's played for comedic value at times, and I think actually quite well in certain moments. But then there's moments where it's like for me, it mainly when which district I wrote District 8. Is that correct? Where the wounded got exploded?
Yeah.
That was District 8. Fantastic. Okay. In that particular scene, then when hundreds of people are literally murdered by the Capitol right there, and then T minus 5 seconds later, Natalie Dormer's like, "How do you feel about this, Katniss?" It's like that shit was uncomfortable to me. That felt very exploitative. Made me dislike. Probably I don't know. Before District 13 was like, "Oh yeah, Katniss is here. This is fine. Whatever." This made me dislike District 13. This stuff, and I don't know if I'm meant to feel that strongly about it, but I do feel like I am meant to question the tactic because and I guess maybe in some way make me reflect on real world media use and all that kind of thing, because just her doing that just felt very, very off putting to me. Yeah, Jada.
Well, you know the outcome, right? So let me just say, let me just put this out there, right? And let's remember the president's name. District 13 and the Capitol are two sides of the same coin.
For a President Coin is such a shit name. That is so fucking on the nose.
You're meant to feel shitty about all the propaganda. You're meant to feel shitty about everything they do. And I think on this rewatch, watching Finnick makes it it's super clear how against it he is, and he is telling Katniss the entire time you cannot trust these people as well, because he sees it all. He saw it all in the Capitol, and he sees the same things here. So it was interesting seeing Finnick, and this time realizing that's what he was he was still twitchy and all fidgety about that shit as well. You're definitely meant to feel awkward about everything that 13 is doing, because they're another military power that's just been lying in wait, and they're manipulative, and you see the way that Julian Moore is all kind of
painful. She's painful.
Is it weird that they call it propaganda films? They straight out say that that's what they're making.
Well, you have a very young audience here, so I feel like you need to
spell it out.
Right.
Yeah, I was 10 when I read these books, 11 maybe. I don't know what propaganda was.
Right. So yeah. She wants to look up what it means.
Propaganda, yeah.
Probably, yeah. I honestly, I genuinely didn't know it was meant to be that obvious. So I think I missed the point. But I didn't miss the point. I got it from it, but I didn't realize you bringing up literally the coin name. I honestly never thought of that being literally what that's meant to be, which I presume it is.
Just put it in my head now. I don't know.
I guess it would be. It makes tons of sense.
I mean, yeah.
Especially with how I recall Part 2 ends up going.
Yeah.
I think that's basically the whole thing. So, that's very interesting. Yeah, President Coin, man. 100% shit name. 100%. Yeah, I can't stand her, man. The whole, I don't want to get too far out, but all the speeches she gives, the whole ending speech, that shit was just painful. You know what I mean? Just not the least likable stuff I've ever seen, and a great point about them being this military power that's just been lying dormant, because I mean, I must admit, I know Katniss reacts this way. I think she's talking to Mahershala Ali in the scene, I think it was, but or was it? Or was Mahershala Ali talking? No, Plutarch. It was Plutarch. I think it was Plutarch. I think the thing I'm thinking of is Plutarch was talking to Coin. I don't know. My apologies. The point of it was that basically they were surprised at the fact that, you have all this missile power. Why don't you just attack the Capitol? And it's just well, first of all, we didn't know District 13 even existed in the last movie in any fashion. So then getting here, I mean, we learned they existed at the end of the last movie, but we didn't know in what form. And then getting here, and it's they straight up just have they're not nukes, but you know what I mean? They just have huge firepower. And it's just wow, that's kind of weird.
Well,
so yeah, I felt all this subconsciously.
Their whole thing was nuclear power, so it is likely they have nukes.
Oh, that's what they did for the Capitol.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. This is making me feel shitty about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going for Snow, halfway through.
How could you not, dude?
I was let's just go back to how it was, let's just have the Hunger Games.
He's just so much more charming.
Yeah.
100%.
Plus he's been dictator for so many years,
Yeah, so he must be doing something right.
He knows the ins and outs.
I think one of my favorite parts of the movie is Snow's whole, plays and counterplays thing, and I love how it does illustrate it by, it does like hard cut between each move, back and forth, but like it doesn't feel jarring to get just like such harsh perspective changes. I think it works very well.
Yeah,
and there is always something locked and ready. So like it's not even like there's not even a down period between the response, especially with the capital. Like like something happens and they have a Peter interview fucking ready. And,
right.
And I just I don't know. I think it's a very seamless back and forth.
That is true. Do you think an aspect of why that works? Because I read a bit in the trivia, is the fact that like, and maybe why the ending is the way it is as well, is the fact that we don't get any Peter scenes from the Capitol, like that aren't on screen, that aren't like meant to be TV interviews that District 13 can see. You know what I mean? Because we don't actually know, even though like it's anyone with a brain can figure out he's being tortured, but like we don't actually objectively get a sense of like how he's actually being treated there until that sort of revealed at the end. Do you reckon that's sort of part of it? Because every time, you're right, like every time it feels like something happens, and then the Capitol, like we get it through like it comes on the TV in the bloody mess hall or whatever. You know what I mean? We sort of get it that way. I don't know. There's a few cutaways to Snow as well, but I feel like it's mostly that way. I feel like.
Was there a question there, sorry, or it was?
Oh, I was just saying, do you feel like that adds to it? Like,
yes.
Point,
Yeah.
Cool. That's good. I'm so smart. I guess, sorry, the actual larger point I was going to make is that I remember reading in the trivia that there were cutscenes with Peter and Snow in the Capitol, like non-TV interview scenes. Like there were like you get more of an insight there, and like you'd see him talking to Peter before the interviews and like grooming him or something like that is the way it was loosely described. So it sounds like it might have, like, I actually think those scenes sound cool because I love any glimpse of Snow and the Capitol and the way it works and all that kind of thing. But maybe that's the reason they were cut, is what I'm saying.
I would have liked it though. I would have liked more Peter. I think this film suffered a bit from a lack of Peter, a bit of malnutrition from
literally, but
yeah, his presence was his absence was felt.
Yeah. How did we feel about the whole ending? Let's just do it. We brought up Peter. The main thing with him in this movie is that he pops up clearly abused on TV. There's that one line in the movie where it's like, I think it's Gale, like when Peter's like talking shit about the revolution on TV, and Gale's like, "Why do you think he said that?" I think it was Gale. Why do you think Peter said that? And it's like, what, dude? That's one of the dumbest lines.
I'm Team Peter now. Like Gale was just
just because you're real dumb.
Gale was just ignorant in this film. He was just sucking. You know who?
Do I know who?
He was sucking off coin.
Oh, definitely, 100%. Yeah, oh yeah. And then when a bit stupid. Then when like Katniss has the realization he doesn't know what happened to District 12. That's why he's saying it. And Gale just like shuts up because it's like, oh yeah, good point. Anyway, I'm sorry. That happens. And then Peter, the main thing at the end, and sort of the film ends on this note that Peter becomes a horror movie villain. And he's been, tortured and manipulated by the Capitol. I don't know. They said something about how they gave him meds or something that made him like this over time. I just wanted to ask about it, like, straight up. Like, how did you guys feel about the final shot and the whole turn of events for, like, it being an ender to this film? Because as we've been talking about plenty in the book, it's just another beat in the story. You know what I mean? But how does it work as an ending and as a story choice?
I think it's great because I think Snow wins another movie.
Right. That's great.
He wins the Hunger Games. He loses Catching Fire. He wins again here. I think that like actual ending kind of close in on Peter is just great from a technical standpoint. Just I think he's acting really well there, and I know the slow creep really adds to it.
And the reflection,
yeah, and I just think the way the whole plot beats out in those last 10 minutes of, once again, plays and counterplays of Snow revealing his information that he did know, and they did actually use the dam going out to their advantage. Like it just, but that's why I think this film's needed, because I think like this kind of detailing of like how, you know, how in Star Wars Rebels, right? Like you really feel the might of the Empire because you see in detail like all like their developments, and you see how, you see their light speed tracking, you see all
you
that
see
shit.
their infrastructure everywhere.
Yeah, this feels like Rebels in that way, in that you see, and why I feel it's necessary in that you see, the infrastructure of both districts and both powers,
Right.
And I think
Right.
that those last 10 minutes are a great showcase of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Snow's always able to turn that into his advantage. Yeah. Sorry, go for it, Fizzy.
Well, I disagree a bit. I don't know how. Like, we didn't really see much of the capital, infrastructure. I feel like, but I was going to say
infrastructure was more like for the Star Wars thing, but like in this, it's more just like the thinking and the ideas that are generating and the way they use this stuff, not literal
But
roads and hospitals and shit.
I think I even disagree with you, like from what you said earlier, because we don't actually see. I don't think we see that much of Snow's perspective. I don't think it's like a cut back and forth. We see a little bit at the start where he's talking about like how to word the message. Don't call them rebels. Call them, criminals or whatever word they.
That's so great, by the way. Yeah,
we get but also when they see her on the cameras entering District 8, we then cut back to him telling them to kill all the wounded. And I don't know, I feel like we get a few more.
But then for the second half, he's just kind of in the shadows, I feel like. But anyway, that's not what I was gonna say. On Peter. Like the ending was with Peter. I feel like the criticism of this film, and it's like too much of a part one or whatever, is like it makes sense, but I think the Peter ending does, as Jaden said, kind of it's a good conclusion because it makes you feel like Snow did win in the end, and this game is kind of complete in itself. The game of kind of media or like that back and forth. So yeah, and just the visual as well. Like Peter's like actual like physical transformation was like really brilliant as well. It's like really, he's actually like really thin and stuff, and his veins are popping out.
Yeah. No, 100%. Well, they do that shot when like Katniss first goes to visit him in like the little hospital room or whatever, and it's like straight up horror movie shot when they they hold on his back for a while. That was good stuff. Yeah, that was all. I quite enjoyed that for sure. I feel like we talked about it a little bit in the past reviews, but I feel like now's like the perfect time to circle back to it, just because the fact that I feel like the Katniss Peter relationship is so important to this ending working, and it feeling like not only like Snow won. I love that. That's a great point about like the larger political game at play, but like the fact that it's also a huge loss for Katniss that Peter's in this state, And I just want to ask, how do you guys feel about the previous films doing enough legwork? Because Katniss and Peter have no on-screen time together until the end in this movie. So Katniss's whole, desire and love for Peter and wanting him to get back, it's built on what the last movies did. So up until this point, like, was that enough? Because I just had the thought. I don't necessarily feel either way about it yet, but I just had the thought of like, have the movies done a good enough job up until this point of making me feel like that Katniss cares about Peter this deeply? I think maybe it's something more that Catching Fire did, because I know at the start of Catching Fire, she still didn't really know. They didn't really know anything about each other. Still, I think they have a quick scene about that. So, did Catching Fire do enough legwork for you guys to make it feel like, I get that these guys have a love or connection or whatever?
No, yeah. It still feels like it's not. It's a different type of connection. It's not like romantic or anything. It's just like, I guess it's weird to describe it this way, but he's kind of just like family,
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I get what you mean there.
Yeah, but no, I do feel like Catching Fire set set it up well. Going through the games twice and stuff. I mean, Peter I feel like the relationship in Catching Fire was much more, genuine. They kind of got past the like playing for the cameras angle a bit, and it was more real. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I I assume you probably feel similarly, Jaden, but like, it's probably more than anything for me, like the end of Catching Fire sort of did it, where it's like when I always said in the first movie that like Katniss clearly cares for Peter more than just the act, but by the end of Catching Fire, when she's like deeply concerned, I think that's enough to carry us through to this point. I just bring it up because I feel like there's still. It's not like we've still had any. I don't think in the series we still haven't had like any overt romantic scenes between them at all, or like any even real deep connection scenes at all. You know what I mean? It's sort of you get it all through some of the faster moving stuff, but I think it's enough.
Yeah, I think the other thing that the film does is that it distances Gale from her a little bit in the fact that they spend more time physically together, but I think you start to see the emotional kind of detach between them, where like they start thinking differently. And I think part of that is that Katniss still, up until the end, does not want to be part of the revolution. She just takes it because she has to. Whereas Gale is all for it, and like he is grooming for the revolution, and he falls into it. Whereas Katniss always tries to stand away from it as much as she can. So I think in that distancing between that two characters, it does strengthen the connection between Peter and her in this movie too. But yeah, like the majority of the work is done in Catching Fire.
Yeah. No, that's a good point for sure. Gale and Katniss do feel like they peaked last movie when they were like, they started kissing for the first time. But now, yeah, that's a great point. I mean, as we've already said, Gale, total dumbass. So like, any stock that we have for him, I think, is just totally declined by this point. But yeah, that's a good point. I don't want to just sort of, while we're still semi in this range, I don't want to skip over Snow too quickly though, because we always need to have an in-depth Snow discussion. I feel like
about his accent.
I'm more than happy to do that. That's not where I was going, but Donald Sutherland's just fantastic again. Like he's in it less, I think, than the previous two. But man, every scene he's in, I just freaking love it. First of all, I would not want to have the job of shaving his beard. Like, dude, that was terrifying. You know what I mean? That person like pricked him. But
did that happen in the first movie too, right? Like I wasn't.
Did it?
I'm pretty sure it did, right?
Oh, I didn't remember that. If it did, that's weird.
I swear it happened in the first movie.
Anyway, were there any standout? A few scenes, but were there any standouts in dialogue and stuff for you guys from him this time? It's always worth giving a Snow appreciation session. My favourite line of his was, "My oldest rule is never let them see you bleed." Damn, dude. Savage. But yeah, I love it. You guys already brought up the whole how do you word criminals versus rebels or whatever the terminology was there being used. That was a good one as well.
Yeah, well, Catching Fire is like the best Snow movie, as we kind of said in that episode. Like we features him the most, and we kind of get into his psychology the most. He's still great in this one. His speech at the end is really great, where he does the little eyebrow thing. I don't know how to describe it, but he was very expressive with his eyebrows. He was hinting that he knew, some shit. Before he said he knew shit.
He's got really thick eyebrows, right, Donald? I think he does.
I think so.
That's great. Yeah. That's great. He was an absolute savage going for the wounded in District 8, man. Like that was. I don't know if there are war crimes in Panem, but that's the only question because there was no doubt one. You know what I mean? That shit was gnarly.
Katniss is the one that ends up killing them, right? Though.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. But he was going for them anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is actually a good point.
Because that's not the way that propaganda spins it,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think the film sort of brushes over that, actually, now that I think about it? Because that is actually quite important, and I sort of forgot about it. That she shoots down the thing that then hits the...
I don't think that's what happens. Is it?
I think it is.
Yeah, she shot down the missile, and then it then torpedoed into the building.
Shot down the plane.
No, I feel like the hospital was already destroyed before that, I think.
Bro, I swear to God, it crashes right into the building that they were talking about.
I'm pretty sure I agree with Jaden.
Yeah.
Go and rewatch this. So yeah, that's actually a good point. I feel like maybe the movie didn't bring that up enough, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I feel like the brushing over of it could just be to the fact of just
it was going to happen anyway.
More comments about what the revolution does and how the two sides of the same coin, and how
Can you please say it like that every time?
And how, you know, these District 13 documentary makers are just as evil and then try and frame, you know, things that aren't, you know.
Tell me how you feel, Katniss. Tell me how you feel. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, no, that's fair. I get that. In that scene, actually, though, where she does go and visit all the wounded in District 8, I thought it was interesting, and maybe it adds to this whole idea we've been talking about with the two sides of the same coin. The fact that she sticks with the baby lie to the wounded. You know, like she maintains that there was a baby to them in that moment. I just thought that was interesting because I honestly forgot about that whole thing. So then when it was brought up, I thought it was cool, and I don't know how I think the fact that she stood by the lie, because obviously she wants to, like, you know, be strong for them or, you know, give them what they want to hear or whatever. But that's like propaganda District 13 Katniss talking, if that makes sense. It's like, I feel like the real her wouldn't have liked doing that to them. I'm just saying.
No, I think her lying about that was a necessity. Like, you don't want to tell these, you don't want to tell these people that are already fucking half dead that their hero has been lying to them and manipulating them from, like, the start.
Right. Yeah. But do you think Katniss, like, would have been?
No, because I think if you then say there was never a baby, then you open up questions to the entire relationship, which they can't do at this point.
Right, exactly. But isn't that kind of messed up that they've gotten themselves in this deep to where they have to stick with this shit? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would bother Katniss.
Yeah.
Well, she says it's dead, right? It died.
Yeah, she said she lost it.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, you're totally right. Like, Katniss totally caused that hospital to blow up, which is hilarious.
Thank you for revisiting that. Thank you. Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like those are just two little details in that scene that are kind of interesting that you can break down how Katniss feels about it and what she's going through and stuff.
Have you seen the thing where
yeah.
I don't know if you know him, Zach, but Liam should know him. You know, like, Most Critical was meant to be in that scene. Where they got cut from it.
Oh, he got cut. I was thinking that before I saw it. I was like, I'm gonna try and find him.
I couldn't remember who it was. So, like, afterwards, I just typed in the search bar. I was cut from the Hunger Games, and his video came straight up, and I was like, yeah, that's what it was.
Is he a content creator?
Yeah, he's a pretty big one. But yeah, he was talking about, like, he was meant to be in the scene inside the hospital with the wounded, but, like, apparently he just kept on fucking it up, where, like, he was saying something, or he was, like, just, like, doing it like an action wrong. Because he was an extra, but he was an extra with, like, a line or, like, an action that was, like, somewhat significant. But he kept on fucking up, so they cut him.
That's hilarious, dude. So what was he like? Is he an actor, or, like, was he trying to act at some point? Like, why is he there?
I can't remember why. He's probably speaking about in the video, but, like, I don't know. Yeah, just for a bit of fun.
I just like thinking it's a quick shot where someone has to pick up a glass of water or something. He just couldn't get it right. You know what I mean? I guess, honestly, like, he probably wouldn't have had any lines, I imagine, so it probably was something like that.
Or it could be one of those people that likes to talk to Katniss or whatever.
Yeah, when that kid says, "Are you going to fight Katniss?" I think he was meant to either say something or do something, like, in support of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Raise something.
But he couldn't get the finger gesture right.
Yeah.
It's like, do you kiss the lips first, or you didn't know? I think if you're an extra, you can't have any lines, right? Like, I think that's the definition.
Sure, I don't know.
I don't. Not 100% sure. There's definitely, like, if you have lines, you then go up a level of something. I do know that.
Just on that, like, we have, like the cast is it's pretty significant with Mahershala Ali, Natalie Dormer, Philip Seymour Hoffman. We haven't mentioned yet again.
Yeah,
you know, like, they're
and
they're all pretty solid, especially the character of Boggs. I quite like him. You know, there's kind of, he's stoic, but you can tell he really cares. You know, and I like the relationship that they do develop there. You know,
Jane, I've got no idea who you're talking about.
Mahershala Ali's character.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he didn't do a lot for me. I love Mahershala, but, like,
really,
no, he didn't. He felt like a stand-in lieutenant dude for me, general guy, whatever. I don't know. There are a few, like, strong scenes in the movie I did really quite enjoy. One of them is Plutarch's outburst at Katniss's terrible acting, because it was really bad. That was I liked that whole scene with her, like, not being able to act. That was pretty funny.
That still remains my favorite shit. Just actors trying to act bad. Just fucking love it.
Yes, yes, I love that.
Is Plutarch? So is he actually from like one of the top districts? Because his name's actually Plutarch, and Julian and Coin is like, you're already adept here or whatever. So like, what's his backstory? Is he like actually he's not like from a lower district or whatever, and like sneaked into one of the upper ones to become dungeon master or whatever it is.
Dungeon master, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. I think he's just from the capital, right? That's what I thought.
Okay, yeah, because he does have the pretentious ancient Greek name. So.
Yes. I think he's just a disenfranchised capital person, is what I always thought, which would explain why he's out of his depth in a District 13, military operation.
Right.
And he's there trying to friggin' direct a terrible commercial, basically, is what it was. Continue with the cast a little bit, coincidentally, but Woody Harrelson, Haymitch had a bit less to do this time, which is a bit disappointing for me because I love him. But he did have a killer line. I loved it. I loved when he walked in and said, "That, my friends, is how a revolution dies." That was pretty funny. And he's like clapping slowly, That was good. But outside of that, I was a bit disappointed with his role in the movie. I feel like, he just had less to do. Who else was there? The guy who played the Avox was super familiar to me, but I don't recall if I know him or something.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen him somewhere before for sure.
I feel like I've seen that man. He had a familiar face for sure. I saw they beefed up Elizabeth Banks' role from the book apparently as well. Apparently she wasn't in the book as much, but to Andy's absolute
Jeffrey
dismay.
Wright was still there.
Yeah. He was still there.
I keep forgetting he's there. Yeah.
Who was it? I think it was Julianne Moore, right? Kept calling him BT. Like, kept saying it like as in the two letters. But like, it's just Beatty, right? You say is his name Beatty. You wouldn't say BT like it's Death Stranding, I feel like she kept doing that. Anyway.
I feel like Beatty never got his chance to, on-screen chance to grieve his wife that died in Catching Fire. I feel like that was skipped over.
It definitely was skipped over because I totally forgot he had a wife. So yes. I completely agree.
Yeah, I guess Haymitch was less active, but they keep alluding to him being like different or sober or whatever. I guess he said like, they have a little mini prohibition going on around here. So I guess like District 13 is just like restrictive. And that's how they show that through him, that he's not drunk. So they don't have
he's suffering from like alcohol withdrawal, right?
Yeah, but the fact that you can't even have, the fact they don't have alcohol is kind of...
Where the fuck are they going to make alcohol?
True.
I don't know, but like they have food, you know what I mean? I don't know. How they get food? How they have sewage? I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like that they have everything else but alcohol. I feel like it's like it came across to me like it was a law enforcement as opposed to a lack of being able to access.
I saw in the trivia that the uniforms are very like grey, and the whole, like as you said, like the look of the District 13 as a whole is very like monotone, and it's supposed to like mimic like dystopian movies like 1984 and that kind of thing. So I feel like just even though like practically maybe you can't make alcohol in this society, just alluding to restrictions like that is kind of another part of showing the more like negative nature of it, the more dystopian nature of District 13, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if it's as present elsewhere. Maybe in some of the Effie scenes, although like that came across as her more just being,
right,
being Effie. But they do at times maybe like go towards the authoritarian sort of realm at times.
They kind of allude to it, like with the cat as well. They're like they'll never let us keep the cat or whatever.
Yes, and she had to like literally. I know it was like a joke, but she had to like, make a condition that the cat could stay. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, that Pollux guy, by the way, the Avox. He's
Oh yes,
he's in Castaway, which is probably like the most notable.
I definitely won't remember.
Was he Wilson?
The Mighty Ducks. If you guys have seen the Mighty Ducks, I feel like you wouldn't know those, Zach.
No, definitely
not. But his big one is that he's in Daredevil on Netflix, as one of the leads, aside Charlie Cox.
Oh really?
Yeah, but you guys haven't seen that, so
No.
I know.
Do you reckon he got paid like $2,000 for this movie because he didn't have any lines?
He was an extra.
Probably. Yeah, like even though he's like, yeah, pretty significant. But yeah, probably, honestly. We should shout out to Prim, by the way, for going back for the cat. The cat's Buttercup, if I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Shout out to that. I respect it. I'll tell you what I don't respect, though. I don't respect Katniss kidnapping Buttercup in the first place. Buttercup had District 12 all to itself. Absolutely thriving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just having the best time of its life, and then gets, like, kidnapped by Katniss to then go and have to live in a nuclear shelter. That's terrible.
It was a fat cat as well, which indicated that it was, getting food.
Exactly. It was fine. It was feasting. So, I actually think that was animal cruelty on Katniss's part. But anyway.
Doesn't I think the book specified that the cat hates everyone but Prim, and it actually like really likes Prim.
Yes, that's cute.
So like,
that's cute.
I know you're making a joke, but I'm sure it was happy to see Prim.
Oh, I don't know. How would you describe what I was just doing, actually? I guess you'd call it comedic filler for this episode of the podcast, but I wasn't joking. You know what I mean? I don't know how you'd actually. I don't know, it came from a very truthful place. I don't know what you'd call it. But anyway, speaking of Prim, though, how do we feel about Prim and Katniss? Obviously, the relationship has always been there in all these films. I don't know. It feels more important this time. I don't know if you guys would agree. I would argue that. Especially leading into the next movie. No spoilers. But I don't think we've probably dived into like how we feel about the relationship. Obviously, the volunteering aspect of the first film was really strong. But in terms of like their whole relationship, I feel like it's pretty much distilled down to, like, in literally all these movies, is distilled down to like scenes where they're like, I don't know, like half asleep or something, and they're like cuddling, you know what I mean, and just have a 30-second conversation. I feel like that's like the only interactions they have. But I don't know. Is it working for you guys? Is it good?
Yeah, I think one of the probably one of the biggest failings of the films is that they could have made it more female centric in really developing that relationship between Katniss and her sister. Because I think the story needs it, just like story wise and thematically. I think that like you do need to develop that feminine side.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the love triangle takes too much focus in the first and second one, so I feel like this is trying to make reparations for that. But yeah, any kind of scenes of it are appreciated. But yeah, I think that there should be more to kind of enhance Katniss as a character beyond just being a love interest. Like, obviously, she's not just a love interest; she's a massive character on her own. But like, in terms of her the relationship she has, she is mostly a love interest. So developing that other relationship could have been really strong for her, I think. It's
like another side of the character we never really get fully explored. Yeah. No, that's fair. I agree with you. I know how much you hate the triangle, the love triangle in these movies, Jen.
Well, it's necessary for young adult fiction. You need to have a love triangle. It's a convention that you need to kind of obey. But yeah, I just would have loved to have seen it take a slight backseat.
Definitely, and especially when I feel like you have the opportunity to explore this Prim stuff more, like you're saying. Like, Katniss being a sister, the fact that she volunteered for her sister was great.
Mm.
And I just feel like that side of her character is like, I know there's more to do there. I feel like it's another angle on her that we should get more of a little bit. But yeah, what is there is okay. Yeah.
Mm.
There are a few strong scenes in this movie we haven't talked about yet, I think. How do you guys feel about it? We brought it up earlier a little bit, but I feel like the uprising scene, the storm on the dam in District 5 is worth talking about because I thought it looked great. And, what it achieves, in terms of just trying to capture the uprising and loss of life and the sacrifice and, and the rebellion, if you want to call it that, like actually taking effect in a really, strong action scene that is quite impactful for the Capitol as well, and with their power going out and all that kind of shit. So it was a standout scene to me anyway, but I don't know if it is for you guys or not.
Yeah, it was good.
There was that other one where they climb the trees too, and they detonate all the mines on the forest.
Yeah. Do they sing that song in both of them? The Coming to the Tree, that song?
I think that's over the dam only.
Yeah, in the one where they blow up all the guys, they do the whistle, and then if we burn, you'll burn with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had to look at the map again, and like I think the fact that District 5 supplies power to the capital adds validity to the maps of Panem, because sorry to kind of jump here, but like we've talked about the maps before and how they're kind of fan made or they're kind of non-official or they're very but in the maps, 5 is right next to the capital, which would be significant because if it was any further, like the logistics of running like sole power from that generator in 5 to the capital, it just would not work because like the size of the cables you would need and the power loss along the thing. So like that adds validity to the maps. So
thank you for the Panem geography lesson. I presume that was all kept in mind when whoever the clever fan was that designed it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. I thought those scenes were quite strong action scenes just in and of themselves. I just sort of wish there was a bit more in the movie, like that.
Yeah,
a little bit. Like even like
a bit super upsetting. I think you're right in that though as well.
Right about. I'm sorry. What was that?
Like they are just very upsetting as well. Just like seeing how much dies for like not much little gain.
Yeah, especially like I mean both of them with the way people are just gunned down. Like the way that it's quite confronting seeing like the way that the rebels have to like. They know when they make that first charge initially in both scenes that like 30% of them are getting gunned down instantly. You know what I mean? But they all just commit to it, and that's pretty. And you see that happen, and that's pretty cool. Very shit for them, obviously, but you see the loss of life quite strongly. Yeah. Another key. Actually, sorry, I won't skip too far ahead. For the trivia here, Jennifer Lawrence did her own singing for the Hanging Tree segment. The song went to number 1 worldwide on the iTunes sales chart, which is kind of weird. Is the Hanging Tree good, Fitzy? Yeah or no?
The Hanging Tree.
The scene, the song.
I'm more of a yellow flicker beat fan myself. What was the best song that came from this film? Yeah, it's alright, I guess. It's decent. I wouldn't listen to it outside of the movie, but
God no,
it's decent.
I think I remember like back in those days, I still listen to the radio, and I think every Friday night or Saturday they would do like a top 40 countdown, and I remember hearing that like on the radio, and like that was just like surreal.
That's weird.
So weird.
I don't know. That doesn't scream like something I'd want to hear on Nova. You know what I mean?
No, and that was exactly the channel it was on because they did the top 40 countdown.
It's just too depressing and like I don't know.
I think they
Lawrence can sing fine, but yeah.
For like the wide release, I think they did add like a slight beat to it, or they added like a canon later, a vocal canon that is, not like an actual physical canon, to develop it as like something more musically interesting, rather than just her vocals. But like it was pretty much just the same as the movie.
Got it. Yeah. I don't know if you guys knew this. I mean, you obviously did because you just alluded to it. But Lord A is the youngest person ever to curate a soundtrack for a film distributed by a major Hollywood film company. Liam, you're a super fan. How old? Can you do the math right now quickly? How old would she have been?
How's that math?
2014.
Oh, I don't know when she was born.
I think wasn't she 16 odd when Pure Heroine released, which was 2013, the year before. So I think she'd be 16 or 17 ish.
Seems about right.
Disappointed you didn't know the year she was born, Liam. But anyway.
Sorry.
The Kanye West rework of Yellow Flicker Beat is better though.
Flicker.
Yeah, Flicker's just so fucking awesome.
I used to listen to Yellow Flicker Beat a bit. I used to listen to it while playing Minecraft. Those are the days. But I did listen to the Kanye West thing after Catching Fire. It's decent.
Nice.
Yes.
I'll finish the trivia here. According to Liam Hemsworth, Jennifer Lawrence would purposefully eat foods with garlic or tuna before any kissing scenes between them.
That's funny.
That's funny. What a dick. I think the major scene I think we haven't talked about yet is the fact that we get this whole heist on the Capitol. Gale and crew go in on the chopper, blacked out Capital City, and I was gonna say I think this scene is rad because I eat this shit up, man. It's like anything that's like authentically feels like it comes out of a Modern Warfare campaign on screen is like I love it. I love it so much. It's like Alpha 6 going dark. Watch out, Team Delta Bravo. Like all that kind of talk and this. But when it's like that sounds cringe. But like when you have that backed up with like cool shit happening on screen and like they turn the chopper lights out and the radar sensors go off and it's all good stuff and the score's going. I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, I love this shit. this shit is just badass. So shout out to that scene. I thought it was quite cool. And the whole idea of like Finnick having to do the distraction as well, him just like rambling on this philosophical thing for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I liked the whole thing. Yeah.
Finnick was a great speaker. He was. He had underrated talent there, you know.
Absolutely. He was winging this bullshit. He was just kept going and going, and it was actually somewhat coherent.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, yeah.
I hope he lives happily ever after.
Okay.
The only part of that scene that was kind of weird for me was like, it's nitpicking / also just I actually thought it was funny, so maybe it added to the movie, was like the whole President Snow like having to jump on the Skype call. And like the whole idea of like, can Snow hear me? Let's like quickly set up a Skype connection between us. It was just kind of weird. I don't know. It was like, President Snow, can you hear me? President Snow, I think your mic is muted. President Snow, and it was, I don't know. It just sort of felt like an unnecessary thing in the movie, but I thought it was funny.
That's you at the start of every episode we do.
What do you mean? Zencastr's technology is perfect, Jaden. If you haven't tried Zencaster, we recommend it dearly. It's one of the best pieces of technology we've used, right? Yeah.
Highly recommend Zencaster. Head to zencaster.com/pricing. Use code CenterEffect with an E to get 30% off your first paid plan.
Hey, see now you don't have to record it afterwards. There you go.
No, I think you should still definitely cut that part out entirely.
Oh my god, none of this is getting cut out.
But what if they decide they want Liam to read the ad?
Well, if they request that, that's, by the way, I think that'd be great. So, like, we can do that. You know what I mean? I did actually. No, I will say though, I learned that Snow's name isn't Cornelius.
Cornelius or whatever it is.
That was wild when they said his name, and like I've always just seen it spelt, and I thought
Coriolanus, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's
Coriolanus.
Yeah,
right.
Shakespeare character.
It's one of those things where you look at it, and I just think Cornelius. You just see it, you know, Cornelius.
I heard it as Cornelius as well. Yeah,
definitely. So that was mind blowing to me. I still thought that to this day, but anyway. All right, let's get to our final verdicts for Mockingjay Part 1. Fitzy.
I'll slap a 7 on this film. Definitely weaker than its predecessors, but weaker in like action and immersion. But I think thematically and story wise, it is a pretty strong film. So 7 out of 10 for me.
Cool. That's good. I'm going to slap a 6 on it. Yeah, I didn't love it. Some redundant things in it. I literally, honestly didn't really get the same side of the same coin thing. So that was quite cool. I liked diving into that. And I know there are some scenes that I brought up where like are unintentionally funny to me. So like that's not a good thing. So yeah, I'll give it a 6. Jaden.
Yeah, I'm on par with Liam with the 7. Yeah, no notes.
No notes. Love it. Now it's time for our highlights of the week. Jaden, I'm desperate to know what you've been watching.
I'm going to go a bit unconventional here. I went to the ballet. I went and saw a live performance.
That's wild.
I went to the Oz Ballet's production of Swan Lake, and it was fucking awesome. They call every time they put on Swan Lake, right? They call it a reinterpretation because you can't put on the exact same show. But what exactly they reinterpreted, I'm not entirely sure. Whether they just change a costume or they change like a character, I don't know. But it was really fantastic, just like performance wise. But I was just really amazed by like, particularly the lighting. I thought was really impressive, especially like in the background. But like the set with the sets are limited, obviously, because you can't fucking change that shit every 5 minutes. But they're really impressive and they serve the story well. And just like seeing like the conventions that you have to use in telling a story in a different way, you know, in the fact that this is a ballet, you know, it's on stage obviously, and like you have to set things to the music, and like so it's like the way it's like seeing how the story unfolds through that lens it was really cool. And then also just being able to compare it to Black Swan was fun as well. But it was like really great, and it was just like a really impressive production. I don't have any other Swan Lakes to compare it off other than the Barbie one, but this was definitely a great reimagining of it.
I have so many questions. First of all, where'd you see this?
At the Arts Centre in Melbourne.
Oh, cool. Okay, all right. as someone who knows nothing about Swan Lake, like watching it, I've never seen a ballet either. Like, is it a coherent story, like, to you?
If
Is
you
it
know the
something where,
story, like I went with my
Okay.
family, and like they were very confused in the first act, but then at the interim that we got the playbook and the program, and it explains the story. I guess that's something else that's different as well. Like at a ballet, you are revealed with the entire story, so you understand what is going on. So like the ending, like that's not traditional in any other kind of media where the ending.
right? So the idea is that you're meant to read about the ending before you watch it.
Yeah, because otherwise it is hard to follow the story.
Got it. Is that a legitimate question? Is that a sign of is that us getting stupid as human beings, and then that sort of became the standard for ballet going, or is that always 200 years ago when people went to see a ballet, could they figure it out on the spot?
No, I think that has always been the standard where where you're told the story.
Okay, interesting. That's so weird to me.
I don't know, maybe not. I don't know, expert. Fuck it. Sure.
Commit to it. That's crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Do you would we like it? Would I like it?
I don't know.
How long is it?
It's a 2.5 hour runtime plus 2 intermissions of 20 minutes. So what's that? 3 hours 10.
2.5 hours of the actual thing. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
No, that's acceptable.
But yeah, no, it is great. It was a really fun experience. It was just really cool.
Awesome. Oh, that sounds really unique. I love that. I love that you brought that up. That opens I don't know about you, Fitzy, but it's dude, next time, what else can we talk about on highlights? You know what I mean? It's wow.
Well, that's the only thing I watched this week.
Yeah, well, fair, totally. I watched a fair bit this week, actually. I watched The Pianist, which I want to talk to Liam about. But so, Fitzy, I know you have this obviously at the highest of all scores, being a 9 out of 10. I think the film's fantastic, by the way. Is it one of your favourite movies, or does it have that score because it's just an amazing movie? You know what I mean? I just want to get a sense of how you feel that subjectively.
No, it's one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if I could critique that movie, man. That movie was fantastic. For me, it was just it was very confronting. I couldn't. It was definitely the craziest Holocaust movie I've seen. I don't know what I was expecting. I think knowing it's called The Pianist and it follows a real world famous pianist in World War II Poland. I knew that, but I guess knowing that I had the perception that it was going to be about still be a Holocaust movie, but sort of be about an upper class sort of person navigating the Holocaust. Maybe not dissimilar to something like Schindler's List, you know what I mean? In terms of just where the main character is in the class system, you know what I mean?
Right.
I did not. No, that is not it at all. It is just straight up Holocaust movie, full on. And I was taken aback by it. I had to watch the first half and stop because I paused it and I felt like I'd gotten 3 movies worth of insanity and just emotions and everything. And I was only halfway through it, so I couldn't keep going. So I had to come back the next day. But that's just how impactful the film was. It was something else, man. Just the violence and oh my god, I couldn't imagine making this movie. Honestly, the amount of I don't even know what the best word is. The amount of will, determination, the amount of effort, how challenging of a thing that must have been to make, because just of what the scenes entail and how detailed they are, and every single little scene has so many extras in it. When they're in larger spaces and stuff, in cramped spaces, and it feels so real that it's really scary. So I just couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to be on set and get everyone and build the sets and get all the extras and get all the actors in and actually shoot that shit, because that would be really confronting of an experience, I would think, being behind the camera for that, in any capacity. So that was, yeah, just really scary movie, really, really haunting stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's to me, I need to rewatch Schindler's List, but this movie was in terms of a Holocaust experience, if you will, was next level. It was unreal. So yeah, anyway, it was fantastic. How do you feel about what I just said?
Yeah, I agree. No, it is one of the like best technical films I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely.
Really amazing.
All the
I've seen
deaths
it a
are
few times as
just
well.
the worst, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen it a few times.
Yeah. I don't think it's a pretty confronting movie. I don't think I've had like the as confronting experience as you seem to have had. But definitely.
It's full on. It's full on for me, definitely. That's why I couldn't give it like on a review scale, like purely technically, objectively, like it's a 10 out of 10 movie, no doubt about it. But just for me, like I couldn't give it a higher score, like because
Right.
I don't know if I'd ever be able to rewatch it, or like if I don't know if I would, it wouldn't be in for years. Like it's just an experience in and of itself that it's not like it's like a movie I can enjoy. You know what I mean? Just like a whole different category of thing. But it was fantastic, no doubt. Anyway, Fitzy, what have you been watching?
I watched this pair of movies from Clint Eastwood. Flag of Our Fathers is a movie about Iwo Jima from the American side, and it's actually a bit like Mockingjay Part 1. They focus on the propaganda of like this photograph that was taken on Iwo Jima of these guys, these Marine soldiers putting up this the American flag on like this big hill on Iwo Jima, which is an island close to Japan, which was used as like which the Americans wanted to use as like a military kind of base to invade the mainland. Yeah, the movie's about that image, like the people who put up the flag and Iwo Jima itself, kind of, and it's really great, just by itself. They kind of the three people that survive, they kind of have beef with each other over like how much they're like advertising the image to like fuel the war effort, and like whether or not they're heroes and stuff. It's just a good war movie and movie about propaganda. But Letters from Iwo Jima, which is from the Japanese side of the battle, it like blows it out of the water pretty much. It just takes place. It pretty much just takes place on the island with like a few flashbacks. It's much like sadder, I guess, because that it means a lot more from the Japanese side, I guess, and it's a
Korean side or Japanese?
Japanese.
Is it?
Yeah, Japanese.
So hang on. Are these two movies, the fact that they're sort of the different perspectives of the same event, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
So are the movies actually linked in terms of like cast members and things like that, or is it sort of just more of a not a coincidence, because I'm sure Eastwood like had intention in making them back to back, but is there any other connection other than that between them?
Well, so I thought when I watched Letters from Iwo Jima, I thought that they would kind of use some of the American cast, like they would like pop up as a cameo or whatever. Right. That seemed like such an obvious thing to do, but that didn't happen. But it was like there were certain shots and scenes, like the invasion, like the initial invasion on the beach, that had like it had like identical moments, where or like identical shots and that kind of thing.
Like literally, like not recreations, like literally the same shots.
I think so, or like almost like recreations.
Wow.
Like maybe it was a bit different, but you could like it was the same thing. I'm trying to think what makes it like the Japanese side is it's far more interesting. It tackles a lot of different. It tackles more interesting things, I guess, like sacrifice and that kind of thing. And it's just a better. It's a survival film. I guess it focuses on like 3 or 4 main characters.
But how are the Japanese depicted in that? I mean, just like, are they depicted as good or bad?
Well, it's like a mix, kind of. You have some dickish, commanders and that kind of thing, but like for the most part, you're sympathetic with the Japanese. Yeah,
that really surprised me coming from Clint Eastwood about a World War II movie.
Right. I guess, yeah. Well, I feel like people kind of take Eastwood at face value a bit, and he's like way more subversive than people think, and like less
totally agree with that.
Conservative than people think.
But like, it's just as well that like if it's about the Japanese imperialist army, like they would like I don't know, you look at any other American product about them and
Well, the fact he was in World War II, so
yeah.
Oh, really?
he was, right? I'm not making that up.
I don't know, I just agreed.
Or maybe no, I think he's a war veteran. Maybe it might have been the Korea. I don't want to speak out of turn. He did something.
He's probably I don't know. The other side is clearly the enemy of both sides, but it's sympathetic to both. It's just kind of like the position is that they were just put in that spot. I guess it's not that any side is evil or anything. Yeah,
right.
I guess is the best way to put it.
I don't think he would have been in World War II, by the way.
No, yeah,
he was born in 1928 or some shit. He would have been 14 when it started.
Yeah, right. No, that makes sense. I'm pretty sure it was in something, but maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe it was just in the military at some point. Eastwood out here making that's so interesting, making two morally grey movies about the same event from different. That's so crazy. I don't think I've ever heard of a filmmaker doing that. And I can't believe I didn't know that they were connected like that. That's so interesting.
Yeah, well, they were released pretty close together as well. I think Flags of Our Fathers came out first, and then a few months later, Iwo Jima came out in 2006.
That's so interesting. Wow, yeah, for someone of his notoriety and I presume decent budget movies as well, that's such an interesting, I'd almost call it an experiment personally, but I don't know how he feels about it, but that's just really cool.
No, yeah, I've never seen this type of project before. They were both produced by co-produced by Spielberg as well, and they have that kind of influence, I guess, the sharp lighting and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'd recommend both of them.
I saw that on the Iwo Jima page that it was quite a few Japanese writers. Do you know if the writers are the same, or are they written by different people?
Oh, I think Flags of Fathers was written by some Hank sounding guy. I don't know, but Iwo Jima is pretty authentic. It's pretty much just a Japanese cast.
Okay.
And it seems super. I don't know, super real. So they probably got a lot of. I mean, they obviously had to get all the Japanese writers for the language and stuff, so I'd imagine they have different writers.
Now comes the segment where we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week, we asked you, what is the best movie? What is your favourite movie with an animal or creature in the title, of which there are many? I'm not going to lie, bit disappointed. I feel like these answers play it a bit safe. You know what I mean? I feel like this. I won't critique them before I.
You think Andy's answer is safe?
I honestly haven't read it yet. I was more talking about Luke's answer, which is Kung Fu Panda or How to Train Your Dragon. I'm trying to decide which is better. Maybe you can help me out. Also, shout out to Brother Bear. Huge shout out to Brother Bear, Luke. I would have loved, and maybe still will, love to do an episode of Brother Bear where you come on. Just throwing that out there now. Don't know if anyone else wants to do that. I don't know. Kung Fu Panda? What do you guys think?
I think I have a How to Train Your Dragon bias.
Okay.
Although in both cases, I do prefer the second film over the first one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like the second Dragon movie more. Yeah. I've seen Kung Fu Panda way more though. I think I've only seen the first How to Train Your Dragon once.
That's true.
Kung Fu Panda, I that's iconic cinema to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, probably a bit biased.
Did you ever play the DS game?
Oh, I think I played a bit of that.
That was a great game.
Teenage Mutant Ninja
How to Train Your...
Sounds great.
Oh my god, the 2007 animated one?
The DS game?
Yeah, the DS game of the...
Yeah.
I think so.
Jade and I were literally talking about that exact game 2 weeks ago. I can't believe it. Yeah, that was a good game for sure. All right. Andy said, recently my favourite movie with an animal creature in its title has to be Jacques Demy.
Jacques Demy.
Jacques. God damn it. I remember I've read that before. Jacques Demy's Donkey Skin. I just simply love Catherine Deneuve as the princess because she's the most eternally gorgeous actress of all time in my eyes. Wow. And even when she's wearing a filthy donkey skin that is designed to make people look down on her like a peasant, she's still more beautiful than so many beautiful Hollywood actresses today, even when she looks messy. Fuck all of that Disney crap. This is the most perfect folklore fairy tale to introduce to kids because it's never afraid to make this fantasy story feel weird, and it's fearless in how it creatively approaches their production value. The imagination is purely childlike. It's got beast musical numbers, like Catherine being a cake. Wow. And a whole song where her godmother explains to Catherine about incest. I see what you meant, Jaden. If that doesn't convince you guys, there's a helicopter that casually appears in the movie in the 17th century.
I think the film's set in the 17th century. Oh, are you confused by the logistics of the statement? Sorry. I just assumed it confused.
I'm confused by a helicopter being in the 17th century. I think that's confusing.
Yeah, I think it just adds to the absurdism.
Got it. All right. Donkey Skin needs to be seen one day. 9 out of 10. Well, I gave it a score. Thank you, Andy. There's Andy's review for Donkey Skin. I've just read on the show. Okay, interesting. I just meant that's actually an interesting answer. That sounds really weird, but very safe. Like literally about animals in the title. You know what I mean? I'm thinking Jaden's going to say something like the Batman, which would be a bit more creative potentially. You know what I mean? But I don't know. What is your answer?
My answer is my answer is I don't know, probably The Cat Returns. I feel like I've said The Silence of the Lambs too many times, but to be fair, I've said The Cat Returns a few times as well. But you know, the 2002 Ghibli film, I love it so much, so funny, such a great time. Just not underappreciated because it's Ghibli, so it's appreciated, but like just looked over in their catalog. I think when you have like some of the greats, so I'll always give it a shout because I just think it is bloody hilarious. One of the best times I've ever had watching a movie. Just
really.
That's just so fun and just so fucking awesome. I just love it.
And it's really short.
Yes.
That helps me. These days especially. Yeah. No, that's a good answer. Fitzy, what did you come up with for this? Anything? I'm playing it safe here so far.
But I don't know what you mean. Like,
hey, I told you my other answer before we recorded, so I could have gone with that if you wanted something less safe.
I honestly can't even remember what that was anymore. Bad my brain state is.
No, my answer adheres to the question as safe as you can possibly, make it. My answer's Pig.
Okay. Oh wow, that is real. Yeah,
the Nicolas Cage chef movie where he beats him with kindness. Is that what happens? I can't really remember. But the film's it's really good. It's really just a nice film about cooking and being friends with a pig, isn't it?
I remember being like pretty much a downer. No,
was it?
Pretty dark film, I thought.
Regardless, you should watch Pig. I just didn't want to say Reservoir Dogs. I was like,
before Zach gives his answer, now let's us two brainstorm what he's going to give us since he's complaining about us being so.
Oh yeah, what's his creative,
What's his creative kind of?
Even better, right? I've got a joke answer and a real answer. I bet you can get my joke answer.
Am I allowed to peruse Letterboxd to see the possibilities?
Don't take too long.
All right, let me just quickly skim it.
Well, we'll have a minute of research.
Christ. This episode's already off the rails anyway, I don't mind. I appreciate you bringing up Pig, though, because Jaden brought up generic answers. I'm probably going to bring up might tend at a not generic answer, but like still not the most creative answer. But I feel like when else are you going to bring up Pig in a question of the show, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, perfect time.
A lot of these other movies, a lot of these other movies we talk about plenty of times, but Pig.
Birdman.
Yeah, I shortlisted that.
You did? Okay.
So I sort of had a category. of superhero movies. I didn't end up choosing any superhero movies, but like Across the
Nocturnal
Spider-Verse.
Animals.
Yeah, that was shortlisted. Yeah. That's definitely up there for sure. Birdman, Batman Begins. Like I didn't choose any superhero movies, but it's weird also. Yeah, correct. You got it. Well done. Yeah, right. Nocturnal Animals. I think I talked about it on the show semi recently, so I didn't want to choose it. But
wait, what was your creative answer?
Lady Bird. So I feel like people don't think of it as like being. It's not literally meant to be represent an animal.
It's
not like the cat returns.
It's a bird.
No. Oh, well, that's the whole point of the question. Obviously, it has an animal in the title. But I'm saying it's like you wouldn't think of it as an animal. You're not even
stretching the rules. That's not creative.
What do you mean? I'm not trying to stretch the rules. I'm trying to be creative.
That was one
It's
of
not-
my
there's no-
answers.
there's
That's
no
like,
lady-
that's
there's
like a
no-
creative answer.
Yes, it is. There's no ladybirds in the movie. It's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like bloody any of the ones you guys have said. You know,
There's
what I
no
mean? It's
lambs.
literally
There's
the
songs of the
animal.
lambs.
Mm.
Well, yeah, that's true, but you didn't choose it, did you? You considered.
There's no donkey in donkey skin. She just wears
there
a
not?
donkey skin. I don't know.
Probably
There you go. The donkey skin's there. Then you know what I'm saying? Pig. There's a pig there.
Oh, okay.
I don't. When you think
There's no
ladybird, I
dogs
don't
and
personally.
reservoir dogs.
Yeah, sure, but guess what? You didn't pick it, did you? Guess what?
Mm. I'm a bit disappointed.
You guys have completely rebelled against me at this point. Yeah, Ladybird's great. Yeah. There were a ton of movies, obviously, Nocturnal Animals. Actually, I think I like Nocturnal Animals more than Ladybird, but like I said, I talked about it recently. You guys can definitely get my joke answer. I think I've literally made this joke answer 4 times, but as I said, I can't remember. But it's a Lion King remake, is my
Oh,
joke
okay.
answer.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's the best version of the Lion King, you know, and the Lion King's a masterpiece, so. Oh, there you go. There you go. God. I feel like, honestly, you could put an episode, like, put all the Cinema Effect episodes so far into an AI of some sort, and it could, like, just perfectly predict every question of the week answer we're always going to give. You know what I mean? It just could read us inside and out, I feel like, at this point. At least me for sure.
Is that,
Yeah, probably.
is that
Reality.
because AI's is that speaking to the capability of AI or just the predictability of Zach?
Yeah, Zach thinks
Predictability of me.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a shot at me at this point. God damn. All right. As always, we'd love you to submit your questions, thoughts, reviews, responses for next week's film in the YouTube or Instagram comment section, or join the Discord server. This week, the specific question we'll be asking you is, what is the best Wes Anderson ensemble? I did it. I used ensemble. Let us know what the best cast is. Obviously, basically every Wes Anderson film has a stacked cast, but tell us which one's the best one.
Even his first ones have like a pretty decent cast because he started out with his mates who ended up being famous. You know, like it's
Right.
impressive.
Absolutely. Owen Wilson's one of those, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, there you go. Exactly. Wow. We got a poll.
Oh
Got a
yeah.
poll. I lost last time, very unfortunately. So Liam and Jaden are going head to head. This will be the last time in ages, guys. Don't worry about it. But we'll get it out of the way now quickly. What are we going to be doing in a fortnight's time? What are the nominees? Jaden, what's yours?
I will nominate Pearl to get into the Halloween spirit.
Oh, I like that Halloween thought. Yeah.
Mm.
What's it on? Is it on
It's
anything?
coming to Netflix next week.
Oh, fantastic.
Actually. Mm.
I feel like we should. That's like the connection to X. Well, I feel like we should do it anyway. To be honest, that's a good. That's a good one.
It's necessary.
Mm.
Think about that when you vote.
Yeah, it's necessary. The victor's speaking now. Please be quiet. We're gonna have another upset here. I can just feel it. My suggestion is the Prince of Egypt.
Oh my
From
god!
Disney. People have got to vote for that one. Come on. And I don't think I've seen it in full. And if I have seen it, it was in prep.
So
So
you watch it in year 7 RA.
Oh, wait, is it not on Disney?
It's not a Disney movie.
It's on Foxtel. Do we have
It's a
Foxtel?
DreamWorks movie. 50, did our conversation about the Bible last week spur this on?
Oh yeah, I'm up to Exodus now. I'm listening to the Bible. I'm up to Exodus, so
Yes.
that's why. Yeah,
Got it. Well, I've never seen the movie, so I'd be down with that, I guess. Yeah. If I can, it sounds like I can't watch it, but
Yeah.
if we find a way.
it's too late to change it now. I'm sorry, Zach.
Yeah, it's fine. No, it's
You
fine.
just have to
It's
hope
all
that
good.
Pearl wins.
Basically, yeah. Well, I have to. I'm out $3 or whatever it costs to rent on Apple or whatever. All right. I think that's another interesting poll. I like that. I do like it though. We're not just picking 2 blockbusters, so that's good. So we've got The Prince of Egypt, not a Disney movie, versus Pearl for our poll. So head to the Instagram page in the next 24 hours or so after this episode goes live and cast your vote for which movie we'll review in a fortnight's time. All right. That's it for this week's episode. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Fitzy, what are we doing next week?
Well, we're not doing a feature film next week, actually. We're doing. So Wes Anderson is releasing all these Netflix short films. So we're going to be doing those. Off the top of my head, one of them is The Wonderful Life of Henry Sugar. The other one is The Rat Catcher.
Yep.
And then you got another one that's about the bullies or something. It's called The Square.
This one.
This one, yeah. And then Poison, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Wes Anderson films, Benedict Cumberbatch is in Henry Sugar, so, no small feat. They're coming.
No.
They'll all be on Netflix by the time this episode's out. So
Quadruple feature, 4 short films.
Hmm.
Speaking of experiments, man, Eastwood had nothing on this. You know what I mean? This is a cinema effect experiment if I've ever seen one.
Oh, yeah.
Bloody crazy. And you just had the hardest job I've ever before of having to explain what we're doing next week, by the way. You're like break it all down, all 4 of them. But yeah, head to Netflix, check out these new short films, and we'll review them all, and I presume rate them all. Give them all a score, as we do.
I think it'd be interesting to see how we address it, in how much time we spend on each. I just worry that we're going to spend like half an hour on each one and end up with a 2-hour episode.
No, I don't think so.
No, we'll just spend 5 minutes on the first 3 and then an hour on Poison. That's what happened. We'll go into some rabbit hole when we get to Poison.
Yeah.
Probably. I'll try and cut out the comedic. I'll try and tone down my comedic filler. How do you guys feel about that? Are you happy with that?
No.
Or do you just wish I did that all the time?
No, you need that. It's like a placeholder of cringe,
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. That's actually one of the nicest things you've ever said to me. All right.
Shut up.
Call me a placeholder of cringe. All right. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Appreciate Liam and Jana for joining me. As always, have a great rest of your week, and goodbye.